up there. SB, thank you for reading that very lengthy scripture. I know y'all probably thought that was the sermon, how long it was, right? But we are trying to make sure we tell the story in the way that it should be told. Amen? Amen. So I am really grateful to be here today. There was some preparation that went into this, and in that time there was a song that I am not going to sing, but there was a song that I kept hearing over and over again, and that song really helped me to form this message. And I'm going to have my grandmother, who is one of the pillars of my life, to sing a quick verse so you all can hear that. If I can welcome my grandmother, please, Miss Megan.
Saying a quick. But y'all notice that don't get up there and stay a long time. So I want to just take this time though to honor God and say I'm so grateful that the Lord allowed me to live to see this moment, to see what He's doing in Kamisha's life. From the time that she left to come back to be with Pastor Greg, we had just moved her, and a month later we were moving her back. So that took a lot of love, y'all. And I'm just so grateful that God has allowed me to live and see this moment. I'm 79 years old, and God's been good to me. But He would allow me to live to see this moment. And I believe that God is going to let me see it through to the finish. For the good work that He has started in her, I know He will complete it. So I just wanted to take time to honor God for that. I'm going to just do the quick song like she said and then sit down. You are so easy to love, and you are so easy to love, for the Jesus in me is reaching out and loving you, and the Jesus in you is reaching out and loving me. You are so easy to love, but love is kind, kind all the time, and yes, it's true, I love you, and I love you, and you can't do nothing about it. I love you and you can't do nothing about it. Love is kind, kind all the time. For the Jesus in you, hallelujah, is reaching out and loving me. And the Jesus in me is reaching out and loving you. For you are so easy to love. You are so easy to love.
Thank you so much for that. So, good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Last week, Pastor took us on a journey discussing the famous parable of the Good Samaritan. We also learned of the highly combustible relationship between the Jews and the Samaritans. You see, the Samaritans were viewed as unclean, or even you could say they were the outsiders. This feud dated centuries back, right after the Babylonian exile. The Jewish exiles returned to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. The Israelites that remained in the land of North Judea offered aid to those Jewish exiles who were rebuilding. Those particular Israelites intermarried with the Assyrians. That was the group that actually conquered them. We know that group to be the Samaritans. The Jews were so disgusted with the Samaritans, they refused their offer, but not only that, they went on to later destroy the temple that the Samaritans built. Oh yes, this hostility was so deeply embedded between the two groups. The Jews thought the Samaritans were not the true children of God, and vice versa. So if this was the case, why did Jesus, a Jew, must need go through Samaria, as the author tells us in John chapter 4, verse 4? Just to put a little perspective on this, there's Judea, then there is Samaria, then there's Galilee. The distance Jesus was going to travel to get from Judea to Galilee was approximately 125 miles. Other Jews would go around Samaria, not even set foot there, although it was in between, and quite honestly, it would have made their journey a little easier, but they refused. Certainly, Jesus did not fall in this category. He went straight to it. Before I go any further, one thing we can honestly say and take away from each of the four Gospels is that Jesus is after individual souls. Jesus is not after ethnic groups. He's not after race, hefty bank accounts. It's individual souls. Jesus is personal and looks past the exterior in each of our encounters here on earth. What makes this story so significant is that Jesus, the Son of God, the Messiah, our Redeemer, broke all kinds of societal codes and took on the idea of a rebel, better yet, a revolutionary, when he entered into Samaria. And oh Lord, Miss Dolly, he really broke the mold when you see who he had the nerve to sit down and wait for. Who was Jesus waiting for? Pat, I'm glad you asked. A Samaritan woman. Jews were not even supposed to speak to the Samaritans, yes, but it's also worth noting that in this particular culture, Orthodox Judaism, men did not associate with women. That was the suggestion. So not only was she a Samaritan woman, she was one with a colorful past, Marquette. She was the outsider's outsider. Now, this woman is nameless, and she's from Sychar. This is the gist of what we're given, but she was important enough for Jesus to go, sit down, and wait for her. Jesus sends his disciples into Samaria to go and get food, and the Bible tells us that he's sitting on Jacob's well at the noon hour. Now, it's typical for women to come and draw water early in the morning. So if this was the case, why was this sister coming at noon in the dead heat of the day to draw water? Well, when Jesus gave us some tea on her April, we learned that she not only had one, not two, not four, but 5 husbands. Not only that, he drops the bomb and currently tells her business that she had a man that wasn't even her husband, that was at her home. Can you imagine being looked down upon just because of the race you represented? So ostracized because of the culture you represent, or even being a specific race that you didn't even choose. This woman didn't ask for this. Not only having to contend with that, could you imagine experiencing shame on top of being ostracized because of some decisions that you made in life that possibly didn't yield you the best results? Think about that. She goes to draw water in the dead heat of the day by herself so nobody will harass her. She's labeled by her race and she's labeled by her lifestyle. You see, the danger of being labeled causes you to be canceled out. And that is exactly what happened to this woman. And looking at the conversation, we can see her defense. She's really actually upset here, honestly. Like, why are you talking to me?
And then she asked him the question, how is it that you, a Jew, can ask me, a Samaritan, for a drink? But I love how Jesus handles her. He recognizes that the defense is from some inner challenges that she has going on, but she's also searching for something deeper. He looks beyond her race and her past to let her know the gospel and liberation is made available to her too. He lets her know that whosoever drinks from this living water, the same water I'm offering to you right now, equates to everlasting life. They will never thirst again. I love this theme that we're in right now, the gospel and race. We've been having some really, really good conversations, some tough conversations, some eye-opening conversations, and we've loved it. What I love even more is the tone that underlines all of this, which is the gospel is for every race. Jesus came right into the city that experienced racism, sat on the well, showed love, and offered her the good news of eternal life. In essence, Jesus was saying, I, the living well, am sitting on a well where the outsiders come to let them know that I'm here for them also. I do not belong to one race. I belong to every race. I'm here to give everlasting life to every race. The gospel's here, right in front of you, and you're able to receive this gift if you want it. Jesus yanks down all racial barriers in verse 21 when he tells her, believe me, the hour, which is the hour of his death, is coming when neither on this mountain where the Samaritans worship, nor in Jerusalem, which is where the Jews worship, will you worship the Father. He continues with letting her know that the hour is coming where true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. He didn't mention anything, not one thing about race. It was all about worshiping God in unity, regardless of race, creed, color, or background. We too must be bold and stay persistent and stay present to help knock down those racial barriers. Jesus went from a Jew to a sir, to a prophet, then the Messiah by the time this whole conversation was over. But that was because he stayed with her. He saw past the hurt, the pain, the shame, and the guilt. He remained controlled and was dead set on her understanding that love is right in front of you. It's here, it's with you. She was so excited to be seen and not judged. Yes, Jesus told her about her life and her 5 menses and the man that she got now and all that other good stuff, but he also gave her abundant life and life for her to be able to walk through and have it everlasting. Because of his handling of her, she instantly became his mouthpiece by running back into the city and telling the people, come, see a man who told me about all the things I had done. There were many great things that occurred following her witness if you continue to read the story. Why this is so important to me, I took a break earlier and told the earlier group that people were like, so you're in seminary and you're going for your doctorate, what are you preaching? I'm not doing that. Please. That's not my alley. That's why we got Pastor Greg. That's why we got Caitlin, Pastor John when he want to be around. We got my brother Joe when he does his thing. I'm trying to get Pastor Mr. Zach. Like, we got all these other people. Not me. I'm not built for that. But what I am built for is congregational care and evangelism. Then we sat down, had our monthly regular meeting, Pastor Greg and I, and he asked me, just figuring out where I am in my internship here, how are you doing, how are things going? So are you preaching? In my head, I was telling him earlier, I said no, but my mouth said yes. And so he's like, all right, well, let's get this done. I'm like, yeah, what? I just told you no. So then we're getting this whole thing mapped out, and he's like, yeah, we're doing a series on the gospel and race, and I'm like, okay, this sounds cool, all right. So then I look at the whole curriculum, and I thought that I was talking about a different subject. And when I looked at how the things aligned, it fell on this particular topic for me, and I'm like, Oh, Jesus. So it took me back to when I was the outsider. And when I grew up in a church that my grandparents pastored, and I was bullied, and I had all kind of things. So here we are in the black church, we're minorities, we're considered the outsiders just by that. And then for me to be the outsider to that group, I struggled. I had a lot of hardship, but I was so blessed to have a family and resources who were there for me to support me through that. But not just that, Jesus met me at my lowest point. Jesus met me when it was so dark and so grim, and I isolated myself, and I felt less than, and I didn't feel important and loved, and I was defensive, and I had a chip on my shoulder, and I was like, forget everything. Jesus met me right there patiently. Aren't you glad that Jesus met you when you were at your lowest point? Yes. It's important to note Christianity starts and stops with Jesus Christ. And if there was no identification of the Christ who identifies with the outsider, then the entire concept of Christianity should be eradicated. Christianity is attached to the understanding and the definition of liberation. It's not just a criticality of providing a voice for the oppressed or the outsider. It's vital to show the connection of Jesus and his message with this group. This particular relationship is what provides liberation. It's clear that the woman was searching for something deeper when she stated to him, "Give me this water, that I may never thirst again, nor come back here to draw." If she wasn't searching for something deeper, she would have never uttered those words. Those that are outsiders, and even the outsider to the outsiders, are searching for something deep, just like the insider. Just because a person's theological lens may differ from yours doesn't mean that the gospel is not for them. Just because someone is dipped in melanin and looks different or speaks differently than you doesn't mean that Jesus would not sit and wait at the well for them. My friends, I believe that this was the entire ministry of the late, great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This weekend, we're honored to celebrate his life and legacy. Dr. King was an advocate for change, social justice, and he was even a person who really went forward with the social gospel. In an intimate letter dated July 18, 1952 to the late Coretta Scott King, it was just under 1 year before they were married, Dr. King wrote, "Let us continue to hope, work, and pray that in the future we will live to see a warless world, a better distribution of wealth, and a brotherhood that transcends race or color. This is the gospel that I will preach to the world." Dr. King's legacy centered on social justice and showing just how important it is to show one of God's main priorities for us in life: love our neighbor. Yes. He was met with so many challenges around hate, but he never gave up on love. He never gave up the will to fight through with the armor of love to see equality for everybody. He had enough faith and trust in the word of God that he mustered through acts of hate, prison, being the target of the FBI, and so forth and so on. He continued to let us know to keep going, and no matter how much hatred is spewed your way, show love. Do like our role model did. So now, if God, the ultimate supreme being, could stop on his mission to let someone outside of his race know that the gospel is for them, what makes us too good to not do the same? See, Jesus disarmed all of us of excuses when he broke societal codes and faced them head on in the name of love. He's our role model, right? Yes. Aren't you glad Jesus stopped by, waited for you, and accepted you despite what others may have labeled you with? I leave you today with this. What is the gospel or good news God placed on your heart to share? How will you share it? I invite you to go to a setting that causes you to feel displaced. Connect with people. Ask God to show you who you should wait for and help see through his eyes and not your own. Amen. To wait for someone who isn't even in your group or even your subgroup. Amen. To be there. If you want to take it a step further, connect with someone who by society standards is considered less than. This could be someone who is classified as a sex worker, someone who's in active addiction, a gambler, someone battling mental illness, a prisoner, and the list goes on. Wait for that person. Be the light for that person. Be a ray of hope to let them know that there is a living water, that there's living water in eternal life just for them. Think of this as a two-way blessing. You can have the opportunity to reach out to someone and show them the love of Christ and telling them that, hey, Jesus is there for you too. But don't be surprised if the outsider turns your life upside down for the better. Be open to it. Give yourself a new experience. May we dare be like our founders, Pastor John and the late and powerful Pastor Donita, while on their missional journey, where they stated, I must go to the south side of Columbus, Parsons Avenue, to be exact. I want to finish with this question. My brothers and sisters, where must you go so that you can wait to meet the next outsider's outsider?
Amen.